it really isn't fair of us to demand that you're here for a certain amount of time. But I'm glad that you guys are here because it's kind of hard to do this without anybody there to interact with. So this whole thing is called a sensitivity awareness training. It's something that Carrie and I do out in our schools once we have a target student in mind for doing a peer-to-peer support group with. And so what we do is we start off by picking a target student. And once we pick that target student, we meet with the parent, we talk with the parent and tell them about our peer-to-peer program, let them know what we do to make sure that it's okay with them that their child goes through with it. Once we get the approval from the parent, then we talk to the principal of the building and the general ed teachers so that they know what's going on. I have a pretty well-established program in my school district, and so does Carrie. I think I've been running for 7 years now, and you for 5 years. So all of that preliminary stuff is easy for us. But the first year, it's very difficult to get things up and running, and you get a lot of questions. So anyway, what we usually do then is we send home this book, and I think that you have this book copied in your materials. And we send this book home with the parent, and the parent then reads the story with the student, and then the student comes back to school, and with one of us, they end up writing their own. So it's a whole program that comes with this book. They end up writing their own story about themselves, and at the end of the sensitivity awareness thing, we present this story to the group of second or third graders or whomever we're presenting to. So that's the background to this whole thing.
Yeah, and so each of our programs, even though it's a peer-to-peer support group, we call it a links program. So we actually have our shirts on today. So I don't know this camera. So the kids, when they participate in the program, they also, a part of that is getting a shirt. It's a symbol, but it also allows the kids to stick out to the other population that they are a part of this elite group. And the main reason that we seek out administrators and also parents' approval on the target student is because we do a lot of training with the kids. And we'll get into that as we go through the sensitivity training. At the end, we'll talk about how we set up our links program. And so we're training the other gen ed students about autism, and we get specific to our target student. So if there's little quirks or things that student does, we bring them out in our meetings just to give them that awareness, because we have found a lot of bullying or kids not playing with other kids. It's because of that lack of knowledge. And so this training that we're showing you is just kind of the sensitivity training, but then we do get into it more in-depth training as we go on throughout the school year.
And just like another thing, the kids have a lot better knowledge base than what we do actually. So they can read things sometimes better than we can. They're the ones that are out in the playground at lunchtime, and they can kind of see things that are going on that we can't. I mean, we want them to talk to our students in their language, and we want our students to feel comfortable going to someone that's their age rather than just us all the time. So anyway, I think that knowledge is power, no matter if you're a student or a teacher, and so we feel like the more knowledge we can give them, the better off they're going to be. And it's a whole different set of understanding than what they had prior to the training. So
we're going to get started, and we're going to show you, I'm going to split the screen here now, and we're going to share the slideshow that we do with the students for the sensitivity training. There we go.
So this is how we would start, looking at autism differently. All right, you pop that person up on the screen, and the kids usually, ooh, because they know who that is, and we'll say, yep, that's a familiar face. But looking at this face, what do you know? What can you tell us? So you guys are our students. What would you be able to tell us just by looking at this picture?
He doesn't look very happy.
He doesn't look very happy. You're right.
Just a second, Greg, you're muted again. Here you go.
Okay. He seems very focused.
Yeah.
He's looking at something.
You're right. Both of you are right. And we don't know anything about his situation right now, but we can tell that right by looking at him, right? Okay,
I'm guessing someone said something that made him mad.
yeah. Okay, let's look at another picture.
When looking at,
Okay. Someone we don't know, an unfamiliar face, but we can still tell something about how he's feeling, right? What do you think?
Sensory overload.
Something is too loud.
Something is too loud. So then at this point we would say, gosh, you guys are right, and you are, but how do you know that? How do you know the things that you're sharing with us? Does somebody teach you how to look at someone's face and tell us that? Okay.
They didn't formally teach you, but yeah, you learn to read faces.
You learn to read faces, right. Do you think that it was pretty automatic for you? Okay, a better question would be, can you recall ever a person saying, when you look at someone and they look like this is how they feel, or when they look like this is how they feel? Do you ever remember learning that in school?
Not in school, not in K-12.
No. So what we're saying is we can look at these faces and we can tell how people are feeling because we have that ability to do so. Some of our students, some of our ASD students cannot do that. They cannot tell by just looking how someone's feeling, what their reaction is going to be. So we talk about that we all just learn that automatically, but ASD students sometimes don't learn that. That's a missing piece of information.
there's actually a study done, and they took a group of gen ed kids and a group of students with autism, and they looked at where does the child look when in a conversation. And students with ASD are looking right at the mouth because that's where the information is coming out. Where the gen ed student is looking all over the face, between the eyes, looking around, so that they're picking up on those nonverbal cues, like the eyebrows going in, or, like the eyebrows, your eyes are squinty, or maybe your mouth is all scrunched up. Where students with ASD, they're just focusing on those words coming out of the mouth, not necessarily the nonverbal cues. So we're going to go ahead and move right into our quiz. So just looking at this, this is something we go over with the students. And so kids with autism have trouble making sense of the world around them.
True.
True, yep. Boys and girls with autism often have trouble making friends.
True.
Yep. And kids with autism often need to talk about what they want to talk about.
Often, yes.
Yes, yeah.
If they can talk.
That's right. That's right. And usually for our population, the students that we service in the gen ed are usually mainstreamed in the gen ed. So in the K-12 district, we usually don't start this program till at least second grade. So they do have some verbal skills, at least what we have found, the kiddos we have.
But our target students have, but there have been some that have not had.
Right. Right. Yep. And so at that point too, they may say, like one kiddo I work with, oh yeah, Alex, he loves dogs. He'll only talk about dogs, But if you have that kid that's nonverbal, maybe it's a specific toy that they like playing with. So kids will answer with that. Sometimes students with autism have trouble stopping one activity to start another. True. Yep.
True.
Yep. Sometimes kids with autism have trouble with things like normal noises and touch.
True.
Kids with autism like to stay on a schedule that is the same.
True.
Mm-hmm. Kids with autism want friends just like everybody else, but aren't sure how to make friends.
True.
Kids with autism.
I'm going to just stop you for a second. I was going to do each time we do this quiz, we talk about it more than what we are with you. But when we say kids with autism want friends just like everyone else, some kids will say, no, they would rather play alone. Right. So we stop and talk about, well, it looks like they would rather play alone because other kids aren't playing with them because they don't know how to join into those activities. But in my years of teaching, I would say that no one wants to be alone all of the time.
Right. And usually once you can give those students with autism some social skills and with others, you'll just see them blossom and grow. So number 8, kids with autism didn't do anything to get it. They were just born with it.
True.
True. Yep. And we talk about that, in a little bit. We'll talk about fair and what's not fair, but that's more awareness again. The kids with autism. I have one student in particular. She's a high schooler, and she gets really upset when we talk about her autism. So we're doing a lot of desensitizing her about the topic, just because she gets frustrated that it's something she did. So number 8 is very true for her that we need to reinforce.
So you might wonder, why did we do a quiz with all true answers? And the reason is because we want the kids to take this home and share it with their family, share it with their parents, because it is some more knowledge about kids with autism. All right, so this little thing that you're looking at now, you can probably read what it says on that screen. But when we present, we have a sheet of paper, and it is, to my visual self, I still cannot read it on this. And so we have the kids look at it, and they turn it upside down and all around and try to figure it out. And so our point is, yes, some kids get things right away, some kids do not. It's whether you have autism or not, everybody learns things differently. So our whole point of this discussion is to look at kids with autism from a different angle. So this says, look at
it from a different angle. And I couldn't either, looking, I see Greg's trying to look at it from a different angle. Yeah. And like I said, with this sheet, like Alice was saying, it was so difficult when I went through the training and I'm reading this. I mean, even turning it sideways like this, I still could not get it. They actually had to tell me what the answer was. So it is, look at it from a different angle.
Okay, do you guys have paper and pencil right there handy? A scrap piece of paper. You good to go, Carrie? You have paper and pencil? Okay. All right. So at this point, we're going to have you take a spelling test, and it will explain it when we start the audio part. So just listen the best you can and follow the directions. Okay, class, it's time for your weekly spelling test. Open your paper from 1 to 15. Don't forget to put your number your paper 1 to 15. Hope you study these words because this is your final test. Number 1, tomorrow. Football shop is tomorrow. Number 2, committee. The committee meets on Number 3, absorb. Absorb. The new puppy was unusual. Number 5, jealous. He was jealous when he saw the new puppy.
Okay. Carrie, I couldn't read what you had wrote on your paper. Too much.
I couldn't hear most of it.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's stop.
Too much noise.
Can we stop
Okay.
it there?
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
stop it right there.
So the whole point of this is there are some of our, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Some of our students are so alert to all of the other noises around them. They can't tune out the toilet flushing, somebody turning their paper around, the sound that the pencil makes on another piece of paper. Carrie and I know of a student of ours who's older now, But he could sense when the light bulbs were going to burn out, when a fan wasn't working correctly on the heater or the air conditioner. And those noises were as loud to him as what these noises were to you right now. So for some of our kids, taking a spelling test is extremely difficult because they're having to tune out so much and not just focus on spelling the words. So we have our kids go through this spelling test, which we can hardly stand it. You could see us cringing. We could hardly stand to watch you guys go through however many words you went through. And then, so again, it's a sensitivity awareness of what it can be like for some of our ASD students who have difficulty filtering out those background noises.
So for a lot of the younger kids, we would say to them, okay, we're going to have you put on, you know, so-and-so shoes who has autism, and we're going to let you take this test on his shoes and what it feels like to him and what he hears. So it kind of gives them that stepping out of their comfort zone and into somebody else's. So, sure you guys.
So it might explain meltdowns, or it might explain how come they're not able to get motivated enough to, or not motivated yet, not able to put their words down on the paper because they're so busy trying to block out all that.
Right, right. So for you overachievers that want to check and see if you got the one word right, right there are the words.
I only heard one and I spelt it wrong.
Well, you know, that happens.
Yeah.
Well, I can't speak for all of us, but I always joke around and say, if you're a true speech therapist, you're not a speller either. I have the Webster Dictionary right on my phone. So, okay. So then we go through all these auditory problems that they may have had, like how did the experience feel to them? How easy or difficult was that task? And then the students with ASD are not experiencing their environment like typical students. And so we just talk about this right
like
through
what
with
we
all
just,
the students.
what we just said, they're working on filtering spelling and writing, so it's multiple tasks for them.
Right.
Extremely tiring.
Right.
So.
Okay. So time for prize. This is usually where we get lots of classroom participation at this point. So we talk about things in the classroom, like they just went through that spelling test. So we talk about accommodations that a student might have. So maybe they go to a separate room to take the test. Maybe they only have 5 words that they have to do versus 10 words. And so a lot of kids do that. Well, that's not fair. Why does, you know, I'll use Corey because we all talked about Corey already in the videos. You know, why does Corey only have to do 5 words and we have to do all 10? That's not fair at all. Or why does he get to go do it at another time in a quieter room? Why can't we? So we talk about motivating students and also looking at what really is fair.
And I just kind of like to say, I find it, honestly, that the kids are a lot more forgiving than the teachers.
Yes.
So generally speaking, a teacher will say to me, well, what am I going to say to the rest of the kids? I'll give you an example that's a tangent, but that's what I'm famous for, is tangent. I have a little boy who probably every 40 minutes would go to the back of the classroom and put maybe 2 or 3 pieces to a puzzle and then come back. Go back and 2 or 3 more pieces and then come back. So in the school day, he probably did that 5 times during the school day. And that was enough to keep him educationally sound. He wasn't having the meltdowns. He wasn't crawling under his desk. He wasn't not working. He was following. And when we presented this to the classroom teacher as an idea, because puzzles happened to be his thing, she said, well, what am I going to say to all the other students? That's not going to be fair. And so at the end, she ended up saying, you know what, it was really great because not one student asked about it. He was the only one that was really worried about it. And then at recess time, the kids would go back and work on the puzzle with him. So it really irritates me when teachers say, or people say, not just teachers, well, he's just not motivated. It is not a motivational issue. It is whether or not they can do what they need to do. So, and like Carrie said, some of us just need accommodation. So that brings us right into this prize time thing that we have. So we usually call up two students.
You can see the candy way up there and then the pretzels down here.
So we have a bag full of my favorite, peanut M&Ms, and a bag down here with pretzels. And what we would do is call two students up and say, okay, go ahead and get whatever it is that you want. And they would say, well, we want the peanuts. So the basketball player could reach the peanuts, but they can't. Right. But somebody like me can't. So is it that I'm not motivated to get those? No, it isn't that I'm not motivated to get those. It's just that I can't.
Or doesn't have the tools necessary to achieve that goal. So this is where the accommodation comes into play. You give Alice a chair,
Bring me a chair, and you know what? These babies are mine. So, was that fair? What do you think? Was that fair to give me an accommodation to reach those peanut M&Ms?
Fair, but
Yes.
not safe.
Right.
yeah, fair. Right. I'll let you have that one, but not safe. So, what we talk about is giving the students the tools that they need to succeed in the classroom. So I didn't need that extra tool to succeed to grab those peanut M&Ms, but Alice needed that tool, and it's no different in that classroom setting. You know, Corey needed the fewer spelling words and the quieter setting to achieve that goal of completing that spelling test to the best of his ability, where maybe Jake does not need that. So we talk about that is everybody gets that tool that is needed to succeed in their environment educationally.
And we just do this to explain to the kids so they understand why things are different. Again, looking at things differently. Okay.
So that's where we go, what does fair mean?
Everyone gets what they need to succeed.
Okay, so we're gonna have to skip this session, this part of it, but if you guys end up, going back once you get to your discussion board assignment and you think, gosh, I really would like to view that, what we may do is upload not only this Zoom session, but we may upload the Zoom session Alice and I recorded ahead of time. And so we kind of demonstrate this let's talk thing.
It's just what we do is we say to the kids, turn and talk to someone for 30 seconds. And one kid keeps their head covered so that they're not reading your face. And then we say, how fun was that? So if you have a conversation with someone and you're not able to look at their face, it's not a very exciting thing, right? I mean, because you can't read what they're saying and you're only going by their words. So let's go ahead and show them.
Okay.
Okay. So we say to them, talk about what you did last night. So
last night I went to my dad's and we played cards, and my dad really is good at playing cards, and so we played for a couple of hours and we watched the Tigers, and that was about it.
Okay, so I just made it kind of short. So based on that, can you tell, did I enjoy what I was doing? Was it boring? Was it a work thing? What do you think?
Not really a way to know without being able to see your face.
Right. And so for the listener too, for me, just probably like all of the other little kids, is my attention span. I heard cards, and so then I might start thinking about, oh, do I know how to play cards? Oh yeah, I guess I know how to play this, Go Fish, who knows? Or Tigers game. I wonder what kind of Tigers game is she talking about? Or who did they play? And I can't really tell if she's excited about what she did last night with her dad. Is she just kind of going through the motions? Did she not really have a good time? Because I'm not seeing those nonverbal cues.
And for me being the talker, and trust me, I'm a talker, it was really boring not getting any feedback. So it was not fun.
We rely so much on those nonverbal cues, and students with autism, they're not picking up on those cues. So a lot of times they're listening to that conversation. They don't care. They don't care about that conversation. They rather let me talk. Let me tell you what I'm interested in. And
plus the intonation, I tried not to give any inflection. So
okay, so when we look at actual face processing, this is pretty huge actually. 55% is nonverbal facial expressions that people are picking up on. That's more than half.
Well, that's a huge piece they're missing. And then 38% is the tone of voice.
Yeah. And then the actual 7% is the actual words that you're using. I don't know if you guys ever saw that paper or that study where they had all the colors listed. but they were in different colors. So like red might actually be in a yellow shade, green might be in a black shade. Have you guys ever seen that? So for me, it was very difficult when they asked me to read the word because my head was processing the color the word is in, but the other part of my brain is processing the actual word of the color. So it kind of goes back to this, is that I know it's nonverbal, but it is that visual piece that we do rely on. So individuals with autism show that neurological impairment in processing faces.
And that kind of goes along, I know we're jumping ahead, but that kind of goes along too with, back when I first started as a speech therapist and I was working with kids, I would try really hard, work really hard on eye contact. Really, really hard. And one of my older students said, I can look at your eyes. I can look at your eyes all day, but they're looking through my eyes. They're not reading anything from my eyes. Mm-hmm. So now I just teach to look towards the person. And I say, most people look at eyes, so if that's okay for you to do, look at the eyes, but they're not getting anything back from that. That's all.
Yeah, and there's lots of teaching, you know, with Corey particular, you guys saw the video on him. He's very verbal, however, he cannot pick up on those nonverbal cues. You know, so we work at different strategies on, you know, how is a person, or what makes a person angry. You know, we talk about the eyebrows going down, and we demonstrate it. I have him demonstrate it, and then I'll demonstrate it back, and then we'll pull some peers in and try to do like a live, you know, interactive of, okay, let's do different emotions and see if Corey can pick up on those strategies. Like, oh, I think he's angry because of his eyebrows. You know, trying to give him those visual things to look for that we just take for granted that we can already do. So when we are talking about things that we are good at and things that are hard for us, you know, how do you feel when you're really good at something? Everybody gets super excited about it. You want to talk about it all the time. And it's no different for our students with autism. You know, if they're very good at something or they know a lot about a specific topic, that's what they want to talk about because it makes them feel good and it makes them feel a part of things. When things are difficult for them, that's when we might see the breakdowns, where we might see the temper tantrums or the, you know, the ears or even the rocking, you know, showing that maybe they're not necessarily overstimulated, but they're over challenged and that it's too difficult for them. So they start to break down, hiding under their desk, you know, or even lashing out at something or someone. So we just talk about, you know.
And we'll have kids stand up and say, what are some things you're good at? What are some things that are hard for you? And very rarely will kids want to talk about what is hard for you. So again, then we're giving them that piece. This is what it feels like. So remember, all of this is, I'm pretty sure things that you know, but what we're doing is teaching this to children, students, so that they are knowledgeable of it. So, right. So don't misread it that we're trying to teach you.
Yeah, yeah. And so something that we share with them is, you know, like Alice said, we'll have them stand up and share what they're good at basketball. So you probably like talking about basketball. You probably like people asking you about basketball. And so something we ask them too, I bet you're really good at having a conversation with someone. Or I bet you're really good at making friends. But yet our students with autism, they have difficulties with that. So that's when we tell the peers, that's where we need you to help them, because peers learn best by their peers. So we put them in real life social situations and we allow those peers to help each other in conversing. So if Corey says, hey, did you watch that World War II movie? Because that's what he loves, is war and army and or do you know that helicopter or whatever, that helo blah, 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 because he can rattle them all off, you know. But now with Call of Duty, some of the boys can really pick up on some of those things and interact with Corey, and they can get that conversation going back and forth and back and forth. And that's what we look for with these students. Oh, okay. All right. Greg, did we lose you?
No.
Oh,
no.
Okay. All right. So I'm not sure. I think it has to skip over that. So we're going to talk about things you're good at, things you're not. So can you guys look at this picture? Do you know what this picture is? So when I like how all of you tilted. That was awesome.
So when we present this to the kids, we say, everybody stand up.
Yep.
Once you know what this is, sit down. And then when the kids sit down, we'll go over and say, what is it? And they'll tell us, and we'll say, nope, stand back up.
Right.
So we're giving them that sense of, uh-oh, everybody else, those that are sitting down know it, and I'm standing here and I don't know it. So giving them that sense of, uh-oh, everybody else knows it, but I don't.
So they're starting to feel the pressure. So then we start giving them clues. Okay, so the first clue I'm going to give you is it's an animal. You guys see an animal in there?
Is there more than one?
No?
No.
I like how you're trying the different angles.
And
It's
so
really good.
some of the things that we'll also do is say things like this. Come on, try harder. We know you can do it. Because aren't those things teachers would say? Or look really close.
Yeah, I don't think you guys are looking close enough.
I don't think you're concentrating enough.
Yep. I don't think you're trying hard enough. Look at all these.
Oh, I see it.
You didn't get it.
You see it?
You got
I do
it?
now. Yeah, I see it.
What's the category?
What category is it? It's an animal
Yep.
that makes milk.
There you go. Okay. All right, Carrie. So now this was me. I could not get it. Do not feel bad. So here I go. I'm going to help you out here. So this part is not really defined, but we're going to come up here and this part will really help you out.
No. That's goofy.
Do you see it now?
I do.
Frog.
Not a
Nope.
frog.
Yep, I see it. It's a cow.
It's a cow. There you go. Yep. So we do, and we'll go up. We'll use our finger, though. We don't have a draw tool on the smartboard, but, well, we do, but we'll use our finger and we'll outline, you know, say here's an eye.
So you can imagine when I present in our media center. So there's usually 2, maybe 3 classrooms of kids together. And when maybe a handful are still standing up and you're being asked to say what this is, you can kind of feel that tenseness, right? So maybe Carrie felt it a little bit when Greg said, I already know what it is, and maybe you didn't know. So again, we're putting these kids, our gen ed kids, trying to put them in the shoes of someone with autism, trying to give them that feeling of what it's like to not see what everybody else sees. And kind of have fun with it too.
That's right.
So the next thing that we're going to have you do is something that unfortunately,
Oh, well, just a minute, because my cow should have erased with the last slide, and it did not. There you go. That was interesting.
okay.
Okay. All right. So it goes on that when we were talking about the cow, it's not that the students won't do it, it's just they could not do it.
And then that
So-
feeling of anxiety and pressure that builds up, you know. And so again, the need for modifications and or accommodations.
So by drawing the picture or starting to draw the outline was an accommodation given to assist you in, you know, saying what it was or being able to
And
visually
giving,
see
and
it.
giving the clues.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so now I think, yes.
Yep.
And my school still does Mad Minutes. Oh, I can't stand Mad Minutes, but that's a whole different topic. So anyway, what we're going to do is have you take a Mad Minute test. But in order to make it seem more like someone who struggles, we want you to write with your non-dominant hand and sit on your dominant hand. Okay?
So right with our non-dominant.
Write with your non-dominant, sit on your other one so that you can't hold your paper. All right, are you ready? So you are going to have 1 minute to complete as many of these math problems as you can. And at the end of 1 minute, we will stop you.
And go. second. And stop.
All right, did either one of you get them all?
Ah,
And now, okay, so, and Greg, we can't see a little bit, but the other thing is the size. Yes, so we'll notice the size of your print. So in the classroom, when we do this sensitivity training, we actually give the student that piece of paper. So they find it either difficult because they have to keep their print small enough to stay in each one of those little squares, so they can try to complete it.
And I forgot to say, food will be given to the person who completes the most accurately.
Right.
You know, teachers, we all bribe, right? So, you know, it's like we've said throughout this whole presentation, it's not that they don't want to. The motivation is there, they just can't. So did that feel kind of frustrating to you?
Yeah. All right. Okay, so now we're gonna watch a video on Chase.
So this is a student that after the kids have gone through everything that you have gone through, then the student will come up and read their story to the class. So it takes a lot of nerve, and I'm telling you what, every time they do it, we invite the parents to come, but it's very nerve-wracking for us too.
Yeah, and you know, you always have to have backup plans. You know, if the student chooses not to read it in front of the class, usually we'll stand there and assist them. But for some reason, all the students I have had, if you give them a microphone,
They'll do it.
they'll
yeah.
do it. Something about that microphone.
All right.
Okay. Very difficult to hear on my screen, so.
Could you hear that at all?
Bits and pieces.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
what it was where'd that book go? So it was him filling out this book, and it was already up on the board for him. So he was just going over it, and it's just personalized. So Chase was sharing with his classmates basically what makes him tick, things he enjoys, things he dislikes. It talks about what helps him, you know, what gets under his skin or might be difficult for him, and you know, it really shows the students how they've really dove in and looked at themselves, but he's sharing a big piece of himself with his class. So that's what that book does.
If you look at this book that is in your information, then you'll be able to kind of know what he was talking about.
Yeah.
It's just personalized towards him.
Yeah.
But to be able to stand up in front of all those kids, and if you could see the other kids, their expressions and their intensity, they were listening. They were definitely focused on what Chase was saying. So that to me is pretty cool within itself.
Yeah. And so we're going to show you a video too, just real quick. So the Links program at my school, we started, Alice has a very large populations of students with autism in her district. In the school building that I have, it's a fourth, fifth, and sixth grade building. And so I really only have one student who is actually autistic, and you saw him, Corey. Our other students that are our target students they may need help because one is severe epileptic. So he has a lot of seizures. He was a typically normal developing child and got very ill in second grade. And he's been in and out of the hospital. He only comes to school for a couple hours a day. So we do the peer-to-peer program with him so that he has that social situations. With his injuries, he kind of presents like a TBI patient. And so he's really regressed. Like his maturity level is still at that second grade when all of those seizures occurred. So he doesn't really get that social interactions that he should have now as a fifth grader. But at one of our pink out games, which our high schoolers,
Let me interrupt before you get to that. Okay, that part. So after Chase did his presentation, or after our kids do their presentation, then we say to the kids, anybody who is interested, we would like for you to join our Links program, which is linking kids together, peer-to-peer support program. We have come up with a brochure that explains what autism is. There's a parent testimonial inside, and then it has the staff that's involved, and then we actually on the back have an application for the students to fill out.
I'll just go like this because somebody's name's on here that I didn't cross out. So there's the application.
we have the kids take them home, talk about it with their parents, and if their parents say it's okay, they bring the application back to us, and those are the kids then that are in our peer-to-peer, our Links program. From that point on, we try to meet once a month with the kids, and in the younger ages, sometimes they're paired up with our ASD kids at lunch. So they might say, today, Tom and Allison are going to eat lunch with you, and out on the playground, they're going to play with you. And the next day, somebody else will eat lunch with you and play with you. My older kids do not want that schedule. They just want to be a part of it, and they will sit with our students and do what they do. However, I will say it's very important at the elementary level to teach them things to look for, things to say. So in our Links meetings, we do a lot of role playing. How would you handle the situation? We do what we call case conferences, where they come in and talk about, this was a problem, this is what I did, this is how it was resolved, or this was a problem, I didn't know what to do, you know, that kind of thing. So we do like them to keep a daily record of things that they've encountered. And that also gives us data. Is this working? Are the behaviors better? And I'll share one story that tells me how much it works even within the classroom. So one of my students is a perfectionist, and she has to do everything to the top of the line. And this was just in gym class, and the gym teacher wanted her to run the mile. And so she said, today, boys and girls, we're going to run the mile. And in order for you to run the fastest, it has to be a competitive thing. So you're going to run against someone else and try to beat that person. And you know, whoever has the best time, congratulations, you're the winner. So one of my boys went up to her and said, gee, I don't know if Mackenzie should do that because Mackenzie might do better. She just runs by herself. And the gym teacher said, hey, I just gave you the directions. I'm running the class. Go back and sit down. So then he and another partner sat there and talked about it. And then they came back up again and they said, you know, if you make her run against someone and she loses, what's going to happen? And the gym teacher said, man, a light bulb went off in my head. And I said, thank you, boys. Mackenzie will be running by herself. She would very graciously share that story with me. And had they not been in the Links program or in the peer-to-peer support program, she would never have thought of that on her own. Mackenzie would have run. She might not have won. And then she would have had a meltdown that would have created an uproar for the rest of the day because she had a hard time back then pulling herself out of those meltdowns. So that's kind of why we are so supportive of this Links program and getting others involved.
Yeah,
So.
and so, I mean, right there, yes, we have assigned them during recess and lunchtime. However, you see just from that example that it carries over to the classroom. And that's just one topic. I mean, it happens in, you know, math. It'll happen in science. So one year I had 2 students with ASD. Here's a picture. This was our second year in Links. We have 2 students in there that are target students that have ASD. And in the classroom, he had difficulty writing. And so we had kids scribe for him. But the teachers wanted him to at least do his agenda in the morning. Even if it was just 1 word per subject, he had to do his agenda. Well, the Links kids, I had to actually pull them out and say, hey, look, remember, our goal is for him to at least do the writing for the agenda part, because they're like, I know, but he hates it so much. And, you know, so they really advocate for these students, and they become really, really good buddies. So just like if you saw those other videos with Corey, one of those, the 3 groups of boys that were sitting there at the lunch table that talked about what Links meant to them. I don't know if you could hear that very well, but they had even said in there, you know, we got a friend that normally wasn't our friend, and now he's one of our best friends.
Right.
So it really is powerful.
So you have
Really
a cool
powerful
story.
Yeah, and here's that log sheet too. So we have I have a folder for each kiddo, and it's usually in like the teacher's door cubby. So when the students come in from recess, they'll put their name, like this will have the student's name on it already of who it is, whether it's Corey or what. The students working with him would fill this out, and it would say, did you have any problems at lunch? Yes or no. If you did, what did you do to solve the problem? If you did not, then what did you talk about? So it kind of gives us an idea on what they're talking about, and then also how they're problem solving with that student. And then there's one below it, it's the same for recess as well. And so at our monthly meeting, we'll go over those books with the kids and see if there's anything they really need to share. But we teach them that if something was an emergency or life-threatening or very dangerous, that they need to approach the teacher aides at that point in time and not wait to put it in the book.
Yeah.
So, and they're pretty good about that. Okay, so here's my story. So the kiddo that you're gonna see in this video is my student who has epilepsy, and the kids in the pink shirts are actually our pink Link shirts, which I wore blue today, but it was our this year's shirt for pink. And so at our Pink Out game, which is the basketball game that raises money for cancer, our friend Noah is not able to participate in sports because of his seizures. His body temperature cannot get to a certain degree. And also the physical activity, if he gets overworked, he can also go into a seizure. So you may not see the parents, but they're going to be standing at the end of one court. And then I actually have my son who's in the Links program in his grade. He is standing with Noah the whole time, because if he does have a seizure, he knows how to react to him. These kids see it day in and day out, the ambulance being called and this kiddo going down. So, but it's just how powerful this Links program has been for all of our students. So I'm going to try to show you just a little piece. I will let you know it was a bit of a tearjerker for me. So, and I may try zooming to some good spots. So here we go. All the pink kiddos are in the Links program with Noah. I'm going to fast forward forward a little bit. Varsity team, boys and girls, came out and gave him a ball and his parents. Just a big show of appreciation for making it up to the game and wishing him good luck. So step 2, Noah was instructed to only stay at one end of the court, but he was so excited. You'll see him wandering at the beginning.
Yeah, feeding it to them.
Yeah. You can't see it too, but on the home side, the stands are packed. So he was a bit nervous, but I'm going to show you a little bit of success because, of course, we all want to. Okay, you guys saw just a little bit how exciting it is, not just for Noah, but for all of his peers. And we don't think that would have happened, you know, if we didn't really have this LINKS program in place, because we've educated the kids so much about him and then just about helping him, not just with social skills, but outside of the classroom as well. And, you know, his mom, you couldn't see it, but she was in tears. His classroom teachers had come and they were all in tears. And, you know, even for those kiddos before, I'm their basketball coach, so before they started playing, they're like, it's not about us, you know, it's about Noah. We've got to make sure he scores tonight. And so it's very powerful and it moves outside of that classroom.
I mean, and these kids are now invited to birthday parties and parties that the kids, you know, they're doing movie things, and it wouldn't have been prior to all of this. The local bowling alley where I work has LINKS bowling nights where the kids have a reduced rate and they can bowl, and so our AFC kids and their families will come, and you know, they would never have had that opportunity to do something with other kids. And you know, what do you remember about school? Your socialization, not your tests or how well you did or what you learned necessarily, but those people that were there for you. So anyway, this is just our way of trying to link our kids together, make them feel like they belong. Any questions or anything from either one of you? No? Okay. So at this point then, I think we can end the session, and I hope that it was helpful. I hope you feel inspired to maybe try something. So, all right.
Definitely find that partner in crime though, because it is such a big thing to take on. You know, I have my CI teacher works with me, and so does my school counselor. And so the three of us really work together to implement this program. And they're in that building all day long and I'm not, so they see things that I don't see. And then when I'm there, you know, the kids approach me. So just having someone else to work with it, you know, it's huge.
All right. Thank you, you guys.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Great evening.
Thank you, you too.
Alrighty, bye-bye.